It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of March 31st, 1995. We got 5 movies to look at today, so let's just jump on into it, because we want to start off with one of my all-time favorite comedies, and that is Chris Farley and David Spade starring in Tommy Boy.
Holy shnikes.
Is that for me?
No, son, that's for me.
You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I know. They're called doctors.
There's always has been, always will be, a family firm. Oh, son of a... Someday my son will run it.
Luke, I am your father, lad.
Aw, I've interrupted happy time.
That's my name.
Yeah, that's your new office now. Whoa.
Do we really want to put the future of the company in Tommy's hands?
Promise me you'll look after Tommy Boy here till he gets his feet wet.
Sure, and thanks for choosing me. Hey, Tommy, this is not a vacation for me. I'm out here against my will, so the least you can do is pretend to work. Ugh, I can actually hear you getting fatter. All right, it's sale time, so remember, we don't take...
No for an answer.
No.
Okie dokie.
I'm gonna pass.
Gotcha, thanks. Oh, son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
Okay, we'll check you out. All right.
It's a clip, Mark.
Are you sure?
Can't breathe.
He's a big dumb animal, isn't he, folks?
No, son of a... What'd you do? I'm a maniac on the ball.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
Why?
So as I said before, this is one of my favorite comedies of all time, and really, how can you blame me on that? I mean, this is a great comedy. It's so silly, it's so ridiculous, it's funny as hell. It's rather emotional too. It's just a great comedy that just works on so many levels. And I mean, Chris Farley and David Spade, their first movie together. Of course, they've been on Saturday Night Live over the last few years, and then they appeared in other movies, especially the ones produced by Lorne Michaels, who produced this film as well. And here's their chance to show that what they could do as leading actors in a movie, and really, they show off what they can do pretty well. This is just everything came together so well. You got Peter Segal, who just done Naked Gun 33 1/3, which, even though that's the least of the Naked Gun movies, it's still a funny movie. You have Bonnie and Terry Turner, who had just come off of the Brady Bunch movie, which is a great film. And then, like I said, Chris Farley and David Spade, Lorne Michaels from Saturday Night Live. I mean, everything just came together so well, and they made a really great movie. A movie that's not only funny as hell, not only a movie that has so many quotable lines to it. I mean, I could still quote the line, "I can get a good look at a T-Mobile by sticking my head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it." That's one of my favorite quotes of all time from any movie. But on top of that, the movie actually is just a good film. Not only does Chris Farley prove he can be really funny on screen, there are times in the movie when he has to have these emotional moments. There has to be those heartfelt moments, and they play it so well. Like, there's great moments in the movie where Farley has to actually act and not just do comedy, and he does very well here. I feel like this movie was heavily misjudged when it first came out, because I think a lot of the critics that saw the film compared it too much to Billy Madison, and felt like it was going to be that type of a movie, when it's far from that. I mean, like I said, Billy Madison's not a bad movie, but I don't think it's one of Adam Sandler's best movies like most people would think it is. But this is just such a great film that I can always go back to. I can always quote this movie every single time. Like when I was doing that, getting the clip for the trailer there, it took a lot for me not to start quoting lines from the movie. That's how much I love this movie so much. It's a film that I've seen so many times. I can quote this movie so many times. Yeah, it's a very formulaic storyline. It doesn't really have a lot of creativity or intelligence to it, but it's just so funny. It's a movie I can go back to every single time. I will always laugh at it every single time. I freaking love this movie, man. This is one of my favorite comedies of all time, and it's just such a classic film on so many levels. I mean, one of the best comedies from the 90s. I love this movie to death. Tommy Boy, if you haven't seen it and you really want a good laugh, definitely check it out because you will not be disappointed by it. I mean, what else more can I say about it but Tommy Boy? After that unintentional pause I did, seriously, I just pressed the stop button for no reason. But let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Lori Petty starring in Tank Girl.
Year 2033. There's no law. No mercy.
You're gonna really love this one.
And no water.
There are 3 million liters of water underneath the blue dunes, and you will retrieve it.
The odds of survival are 1,000 to 1. And that's just the way she likes it.
My. Talented, isn't she?
Hi, feeling a little inadequate?
She'll be fun to break.
I like pain.
Lori Petty,
Did I hurt you yet?
Ice-T,
Turn this boat around and you're gonna get us all killed.
and Malcolm McDowell.
Just how many of my men did you kill?
United Artists Pictures presents
Just say, I won.
I won.
Tank Girl.
What's it like knowing you're about to die?
You still
From the looks of this movie, the pieces are definitely there. I mean, Lori Petty, I think, really fits the role of Tank Girl pretty well. The comic books actually look pretty cool. They have some great artistic designs to them. But, man, this movie was just a massive, massive misfire on so many levels. I mean, and I think this was another one of those movies that had to deal with studio interference. In fact, the director, Rachel Talalay, who had done Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and Ghost of the Machine prior to this, had said that the movie's negative response came from studio edits, and she had no control over the final cut of the film. But despite this, it has a cult following to it. It's noted as a film with a lot of feminist themes to it, but when you really watch the movie itself, it's just not enjoyable. The jokes are not really all that funny. They make this character kind of a little too annoying for her own good, and just some of the ridiculousness of some of the movie just really gets way too out of hand. Like, Malcolm McDowell's overacting is all hell, which could be fun at times, but not really here. And the Rippers just look absolutely ridiculous. Like, I love how the trailer just has to hide the fact that the Rippers are not these gigantic kangaroo-looking motherfuckers, because that's exactly what they look like in the movie. But yeah, that's just, they look so ridiculous that I like how the trailer just has to try to do whatever it takes to hide this makeup that looks absolutely terrible. And even Ice-T is really phoning it in at times. Like, he's not really being a character, he's just shouting out responses, like shouting out commands, like, I'm gonna get this person, and all that kind of stuff. It's like that throughout the entire movie. There's a lot of potential here with what they could have done, and I could definitely see it, but really, this movie just really fails to fall apart because the jokes are not really all that funny. The style, it can't decide what kind of a style it wants to be. Does it want to be like the comics? Does it want to be something different, unique or whatever? But it's just like, it just doesn't work on any level whatsoever. It's a film that has a lot of potential to it, but it just can't get through the problems that the studio had to deal with because they were the ones screwing up the script. I mean, I think you could definitely see a lot of the problems with the movie from the creative differences between the director and the studio. I feel like a really good movie could have been made from this. I mean, you got a good person to be cast as the title character, but it's just not funny. It's just not a funny movie. It's not a good movie per se. It's all over the place. It's a film that just is really a massive misfire on so many levels. And it's a shame because there was a lot of potential there, but it just didn't work in the end. So that is Tank Girl. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Born to be Wild.
Nick met Katie. It wasn't exactly love at first sight. Warner Brothers Family Entertainment proudly presents A Tale of Courage
She doesn't belong in there. She thinks. She feels things. I mean, if we don't help her, who will?
and Discovery.
It's a couple of guys looking for adventure.
An adventure that will make your heart race and your spirit soar. Born to be Wild.
It's Free Willy with a gorilla. That's pretty much the review for you. It's basically Free Willy, but replace Willy with the Willy the whale with Katie the gorilla, and then replace Jesse with this kid named Rick, and have it not take place in a theme park, have it take place in an animal research, in a an animal research facility, I think it is. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but from what I remember from it, that's pretty much what this movie is. It's basically Free Willy with a gorilla. It's coincidentally, this is released by the same studio that put out Free Willy, Warner Brothers, who actually had a sequel that came out this year, but we will eventually get to that one. But as far as the movie itself goes, I've seen it. I don't hate it. I don't understand why it has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, because there is at least some effort being put into this, but you can't get over the fact that it's just Free Willy, but replace the whale with a gorilla. I mean, it is pretty much that type of a film, and there are parts of it that actually do kind of work. And I like how in the commercial that the gorilla doesn't look as bad as like something like from Congo later on, where it's basically just a guy in a suit. But I saw the trailer for this afterwards, after recording that part, and the trailer makes it look a whole lot worse. Like, you could definitely tell that in the trailer it's a guy in a gorilla suit, but in here they're at least trying to show that this at least looks like somewhat of a gorilla. But yeah, overall, as far as I remember it wasn't that bad of a film, but it's not one I'm going to want to watch over and over again. It's a movie that I saw, it was just kind of like, okay, I saw it. Doesn't really leave a lasting impact for me. Like I said, it's basically just Free Willy with gorillas. I mean, that's pretty much the best way to describe this movie, so that is Born to be Wild. Now let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is one of the lesser Merchant Ivory movies from the 1990s, Jefferson in Paris.
Their films have been called exquisite, powerful, a masterpiece. Now, from Merchant Ivory comes an extraordinary new motion picture.
Are all men created equal, Mr. Jefferson?
About a man of freedom,
He is the master, and they're the slaves.
a man of passion.
Would you dare?
Would you?
Jefferson in Paris, rated PG-13, now playing at a theater near you.
So yeah, this was kind of that start of that 10-year stretch where Merchant Ivory movies weren't as majestic or as prestigious as they once were. It's after Remains of the Day, they really didn't have a big hit until Les Divorcés, which came out in 2003. So this was kind of the start of their downward spiral. And just from the trailer alone, you can kind of see why it is. Nick Nolte and Greta Scacchi playing the couple in this. I don't know, it just didn't feel right. Like, Nick Nolte as Thomas Jefferson doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in this. Like, he doesn't really fit that role very well, especially what we've come to know about Thomas Jefferson. And, I mean, just the movie itself, it felt like, you know what it felt like to me? It felt like it felt like Merchant Ivory was trying to be more mainstream, which the best Merchant Ivory movies weren't trying to be mainstream. They were trying to be prestigious period pieces. This is why you have stuff like The Remains of the Day and Howard's End and A Room with a View, those type of movies. And that's why those ones have become as memorable as they have. But this just feels like something that they were trying to make as a mass-marketed thing. There's more of a budget to it, and it didn't even make that back. Like, when you try to go big, this is what happens sometimes. You just don't end up making the movie that you thought was going to be a big success, and this is one of those cases. It was just not a very good movie. It wasn't very good. They said, looks nice. The actors are trying their best here, but the script is just kind of mediocre. There's nothing really going on, not a whole lot of conflict. It's just kind of like they really had no idea what kind of a film they wanted to make, and they tried to make kind of a mainstream movie compared to some of their other films, and it just didn't work out that way. So anyway, that's Jefferson in Paris. Now let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that's the documentary Ballot Measure 9.
Homosexuality, lesbianism, sadism, and masochism is wrong behavior. That's why we filed Measure 9, to give you an opportunity to vote on it.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
What I'm trying to get you to see is that this is a war.
Just be real quick on this one because I really don't know too much about it. I haven't seen this movie, but this basically follows it examines the cultural and political battle that took place in 1992 over Oregon Ballot Measure 9, which was a citizen initiative proposition that would have declared homosexuality abnormal, wrong, unnatural, and perverse. And really, that's pretty much all I know about this movie. I really don't know. I would assume that this is a movie that was trying to say that was not the case whatsoever. The people behind the movie, maybe, because it did win a GLAAD award for the for outstanding documentary that year. So I'm guessing that's what this was about. But like I said, I'm not going to comment too much more about it because I haven't seen the movie. I can't really say anything about it. So I will say that it came out this weekend. But I mean, that's just my guess on it. So that is Ballot Measure 9. So on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and next time around, we jump into April, and overall a pretty good week of movies that coming our way next time, including Martin Lawrence and Will Smith in Bad Boys. We have Disney's A Goofy Movie, Marlon Brando and Don Juan DeMarco, and also Liam Neeson and Jessica Lange and Rob Roy. So 4 movies to look at next time around, 4 big movies, and we'll look at them on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So, thank you for watching, and as always, look at me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm getting out of here. I'm tired. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, take care. Good night, everybody.